Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk. Today, we're going to give you a mock draft. We've been gone for a minute, but football's getting back into swing with the the one weekend every year where every team still got a chance.
Yeah, pretty much. This is the lovely period of time where all fans can just be like, yeah, it's going to be great. And then obviously everybody's wide receivers are leaving at the minute. And we'll probably do a video talking about Debo Samuel and
Hey,
AJ Brown and stuff another time.
I don't want to get too off topic, but this is JJ's Justin Jefferson's third year. So he'll be up for a new contract next year. And I'm really hoping the Vikings are paying attention right now. And as soon as the season ends, they're like, bro, we need to talk.
Just sign him now.
But you can't until after this year because you got to
Yeah.
be in three. But I'm just saying, a lot of these guys feel disrespected because the team's waited.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, as soon as the season ends, you got to be like, bro, we got to talk. Like, let's talk. We might not get this hammered out for a few months, but let's start talking so you feel respected right off the bat,
Yeah, same with CD. Just fucking sort it out quick. But yeah.
Maddie, so I want to say you can, and then I want you to tell everybody too. The way I got to my mock draft was I took who I think the best players are, a lot of times with the best fit and need of the team. But there is one or two times where this isn't my big board, but because the person who said it is so reputable, I went with it. And I'll explain that as we get to the picks.
Yeah, with me, I kind of went, I kind of picked how I would pick. But then there's a few like players here and there where it's just like, yeah, there's a few positions where you think, oh, you've kind of got to go with the consensus a little more than your own eye sometimes there. And we're kind of doing this based on what will happen, but also what we think should happen all in one rather than some mock drafts are all what the person would do, and other ones are what we think is going to happen on the night.
So, with that said, I'm going to start this off with the number one pick, the Jags, and I got them taking Tavon Walker, but it's because Peter Schrager is tuned into the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, this is what he's hearing. And Bulky likes athletic guys. Let's go to Aldon Smith. You can look at all the guys they passed up on to get Aldon Smith when he was there because of just pure talent. This is Peter Schrager changing my complete mind because I thought it was a lock with Hutchinson. I did. But Peter Schrager changed my mind this week because he's locked into certain teams. And he said, this is what he's hearing.
Yeah, and I think when I was just like, we were just having a little chat to make sure that we didn't make any massive fuck ups with our draft and miss out an obvious first round pick. And you said we didn't really match up on anything, and I was like, oh my god, he's not, Hutchinson's not first. Hutchinson's not number one overall. But I've been hearing the same things as you, and it's about Balky, and he's more upside. He's more like that big swing kind of guy. It's just like, why don't we get who could possibly be the best defensive edge ever to play the game, rather than Hutchinson, who is the most NFL ready. Now, I believe that what the Jags need is NFL ready players. And not to say that Walker isn't NFL ready, but compared to Hutchinson, he's not as NFL ready. It's a good comparison to Aldon Smith and JJ Watt.
Yeah, and I'm nervous because I don't want it to go down this way because I don't want the Lions having that fucking pick, the second pick, with a guy who's NFL ready to come after the quarterback. I mean, because who do you have going first, Hutchinson?
I got Hutchinson going first, but I did see so I saw the chat that is happening around Walker going first, and it's that idea of Balky swings for upside rather than going for it. But there's plenty of upside to Hutchinson. That's the thing. If it was, this is as good as Hutchinson's ever going to be, then it's like, oh well, all right, then I can see why you go for Walker. But it's not like he can't come in, learn new moves, learn how to play the game even better. And the guy's just NFL ready. It means they have Trevor Lawrence as a leader on the offense, Hutchinson as a leader on the defense, and they're kind of just they've got some anchors sinking in place, and he should be the number one overall. If it wasn't for Jacksonville, he'd be the number one overall to a lot of other teams.
I agree, and I would take him number one overall. But like Peter Schrager, I really trust in this just because he doesn't get into the combine stats, the big boards. He's talking to people, that he knows, that kind of thing. So I went with that way, but I got Aiden Hutchinson going to the Lions at number 2, which I think is a steal. I think the Lions would jump for joy if this happens. And I think he'd be a perfect fit for the culture they're building in Detroit.
Yeah, he's a great fit for the Lions, but I don't have him available there. So I've gone for Trayvon Walker. Now, the person that I want to talk about here is Thibodeaux, because Thibodeaux was consensus number 1 overall pick midway through the year. Why is he now the third edge? And it's
his mouth.
And he disappears in the middle of games a lot of the time. Is what has been said about him, would he do that in the NFL, or is he's already like, oh, I'm looking to be in the NFL. I'm already better than all of these guys. So, yeah.
Let's be real, though. He's doing exactly what every other player does. He's just being honest about it. Yeah. Any player who's going in the top 10, who's Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, any of these huge names, they're a brand now, you guys. They're a business. Themselves are a business. This kid's just saying it because these kids are learning it younger, and they're learning what their worth is. And now with NIL deals in college, you're going to see it more and more where they're like, yeah, I want to win, but I want the security, the financial security. And this kid just said it. And granted, I'm in my 40s. I don't really get NFTs. I'm more a crypto guy. That's like, but this kid's really into the NFTs. People are making money. It's changing the business way they're thinking. And it rubbed a few coaches the wrong way. Like I heard Dan Campbell does not like him at all.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. I was like, if somebody else was picking, like if it was flipped and the Lions take Hutchinson first overall, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jags were to take Thibodeaux over Walker. Like I believe that they would take Walker still because of his just physical attributes and just the monster that he is, and Balky likes that kind of thing. But I would be less surprised but Dan Campbell isn't creating that kind of culture. That's not what Dan Campbell's culture is. We come to work, we do fucking work, we bite kneecaps, and we are shit, but we're going to be in the trenches and fight for every single yard. And Thibodeaux doesn't fit that. So that's why I've gone for Walker. That doesn't mean that Walker is that much better than Thibodeaux. I just think with other things going on off the field, it's something that people don't like. And they're very close in terms of ability anyway. So, yeah, Detroit, I've got Trayvon Walker.
Still, I think that's one of the worst interview lines of all time, biting kneecaps off. It still makes me laugh every time. So at number 3, I think if you're the Texans, and this is me drafting as the GM of the Texans, you go protect Davis Mills, and you go get him Ike Ekwonu, offensive tackle, protect him, lock it up. Also, just a little thing I wanted to throw out there because you know how big of a fan I was of Davis Mills last year. Could you imagine how great it would have been for that kid to sit behind Cousins for 2 years?
Yeah. Or sit behind Deshaun Watson if he didn't.
Well, no, but I'm just saying if the Vikings would have took him like I wanted them to 2 years behind Kirk would have been beautiful. But okay, I digress. But they're going to protect his blind side.
I've gone for a very similar tact here. And I think Ike Ekwonu and this guy would be the only reason I would maybe say Jacksonville would take somebody else other than Hutchinson at number 1. I've got Evan Neal, offensive tackle, being taken. I just, from the film that I've watched, I rate him a little higher. It's not a lot. There's not a lot in it. I'm not the biggest. I don't have the most knowledge in terms of.
I think the first 3 tackles. Yeah, it's almost like a dealer's choice type thing. What do you want? What scheme do you run? You know what I mean? So I don't think you're wrong with going with that. I think it's more of a dealer's choice type thing.
And he's the Evan Neal is the second highest ranked player on the PFF big board at the minute as well. And I like Ikem Iguanu. I like them both, and I think they're both just of the same quality. It's very much a Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater from last year kind of deal, which me and you both just went, yeah, whichever one you take.
Or Christian Darrisaw, the highest ranking PFF rookie tackle. And
sorry, Christian
I just had to throw that in.
Penei Sewell.
I don't. Nobody. They expected Darrisaw to be good, but those two were supposed to be heading above what was going on. And I just had to throw that out there because he did miss with injury the beginning of the year. But for me, I think the Vikings got two bookends, so I just kind of had to throw that out there.
It was last year. We had this exact same conversation about Sewell, Slater, and then Darrisaw crept in towards the end when we'd been watching more film. And I imagine we'll have more opinions on it as we watch more film coming up towards the draft.
So I'll let you get in number 4 real quick because I'm just going to tell you we already talked about him. I got the Jets taking Thibodeau right there, but we already talked about him, so we don't have to keep beating on that. But that's where I got him going, is with the Jets.
Yeah, I've got the Jets taking Thibodeau as well. I think the Jets are just in the market for, and the same with Houston as well. I think Houston do want to protect Davis Mills, but they also just want to take the best player on the board, and the best player on the board is either Iguanu or Evan Neal or Thibodeau, and I would say they'd go for the offensive tackle there. The Jets take Thibodeau, potential game changer for them if he comes off the way that we know he might come off. The only problem with that is the Jets have committed quite a lot of money to that defensive line already. But
hey, a good defensive line makes your secondary a whole lot better. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Where are you going with the Giants at 5?
The Giants' offensive line has been their biggest weakness since I've been watching the NFL. So I've got them taking Ikem Iguanu, offensive tackle, and number 5.
I'm going the same route, just different guy. I got him taking Charles Cross, offensive tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and by the way, Charles Cross is somebody that I'd heard of the top 2. He's the Christian Darrisaw for me of this draft. Charles Cross, I didn't really look at him much until like a couple of days ago, and then I looked at him fucking going around pancaking people, and it's just he's a big dude. Like they're all fucking massive dudes. The Giants just need to fix their offensive line. Like, if you're going to give Daniel Jones the opportunity, Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than all the quarterbacks in this class this year. Like, Daniel Jones has shown the potential to be better than all the other quarterbacks that are in this class.
Baker is getting so disrespected because he is so much better than what the prospect grading of these quarterbacks is. Don't get me wrong. We might have a guy who shocks the world, becomes an amazing quarterback, right? I'm not saying that. But the grading process coming out of college, and you grade Baker right now, Baker is way better than these guys. He played with an injury, 2 injuries. It's crazy to me that people are talking quarterback in the first round, especially high, when you could probably get Baker for a 5th or a 6th at this point if you're willing to eat the $18 million.
Yeah, 100%. And I just think that there's people are saying, oh, maybe the Giants will go quarterback. And it's like, why? Like, why would they? Daniel Jones is good enough. Let's just solidify his offensive line, see what he can do. Like, Daniel Jones is not your long-term future. He's the 4th quarterback in the division. No. Yeah, 4th, maybe behind Carson Wentz. And
I was just going to say, I think Carson Wentz, I've seen his upside and I see what he can do, so I give it to him. But I'm not a fan of either of those two dudes right now.
Yeah, it's like Dak and then Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, and Daniel Jones all have their. But in that division, like, he could also be the 2nd best quarterback this year. That's
I was just going to say, not to get too far off, but Jalen Hurts could end up being the best or the worst quarterback in that division by the time the year's over too.
Yeah, exactly. So just give him a shot. Offensive tackle, and the guy's Iguanu's a bookend ready to go to tackle.
At number 6, I think the Panthers would trade back given the opportunity, because I still think they could get the guy they're going to draft, that I have them drafting at number 6. I just don't know if there's a team who's willing to move up, because the draft isn't top heavy, but it's very deep with a lot of guys who are really good, just not a Hall of Fame type, oh my God, he's a can't miss guy, right? So, but I think they take Malik Willis, number 6. They take the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah. I see. This is where I've gone for what I would do because I could not bring myself to taking a quarterback in that position
I wouldn't
with the
either.
with the quarterbacks that are out there, like Baker, Jimmy G, are
But they're
better.
in a bad position because after this, I don't think they draft until the 4th round or late in
Yeah,
the 3rd.
exactly.
So
Exactly. So that's the thing, though, isn't it? So that's why they trade back, and they trade back to a team like I don't know. The Chargers are looking kind of nice for a trade up, get themselves the best corner in the draft, whoever you think that is, um, or even improve that offensive line even more by taking the tackle that's left on the board for you. You've got Neal left on the board. I've got Cross still left on the board. So the Chargers could come up. Someone like the Saints can put their 2 first-round picks together to move up that high if that's what they want to do. And it would make almost more sense for them to take a QB than it would for.
they're trading up to 12. Stop killing my draft.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm just
I'm just
joking.
saying. Yeah, they've got all the Steelers. The Steelers could move forward. They're a team like that can move forward. There's a few teams that, but not as many as you would want. It's not like last year where people were begging to trade up to positions to get like some of these elite guys that have come out. For me, I've then gone for offensive tackle, Charles Cross, just because the Panthers' offensive line is also shit. So in this year of not the best quarterback talent going, why not just make your offensive line nice and healthy and the best it can possibly be, and then get your quarterback to come in and play behind an already functioning offensive line next year.
Well, I don't disagree, but I got them reaching. And if you're going to reach, you might as well take a
Serious
guy
reach.
with a huge upside in Malik Willis. At number 7, with their second first-round pick, the Giants, I got them taking the second best corner in the draft, even though you have to. Stingley's the best, but he's got those injury history. So
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner's ready to play right now. Lock it in. That's a guy who can come in, but I'll get more in depth on those corners when we do our cornerback review.
Yeah, Ahmed Sauce Gardner is who I've got as well. Hasn't given up a touchdown since
3
being a
years.
true freshman. That's insane. It's
Dude,
not like he
he's
was at
probably
Alabama either. Like that's the thing, isn't it?
The best anybody's ever done against him in college is a 50% completion rate.
And that's the kind of shit that converts over to the NFL because it's wide receiver classes is so fucking good at the minute that most of the best wide receivers in the NFL, he's been in college at the same time as them.
That tells you how good Stingley is, though, right? Without the injuries, because I got Sauce as the second best, and I know a couple people do too that are, big scouts. So it just says a lot about. I think the top 3 guys, though, are can't miss corners, but that's a whole different story for our cornerback day. But Sauce Gardner helps that defense a lot. He's going to get them some coverage sacks. The Giants need that. It's a great pick for the Giants,
and that's a really nice. That's a really nice draft for them in the top 2. I could totally see them moving back and accruing more picks because they are weak in a lot more positions than just this. But
I
also,
agree, but when you can get these 2 type of guys, if this is how the board is falling, how do you justify moving? Because you can give yourself a 15-year piece on the offensive line, and you can give yourself a 10 to 12-year corner. I just don't know how you pass that up.
Yeah, and it's looking at this, they could also just go both defense, and they could get Thibodeaux and Walker if it falls the right way as well. And look, people slagged off Jerry Jones for not moving back and not accruing more picks and take it. We already had linebackers, but nobody thinks that now. Micah Parsons is that good. When you have that kind of player in front of you, that guy who's just ready to go, then you take him.
Look,
you take him straight away.
I'm not saying this just to get on the train, but the same thing, the Vikings. People were all upset about the Adrian Peterson pick because we had 2 running backs, and look how that turned out. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when there's a talent that you just know is that good of a talent, it doesn't matter what you need. You just pull the trigger because that dude's going to make your team better.
Yeah, and Sauce Gardner makes the Giants better by quite a long way.
Well, what do you got at the Falcons?
I feel like this is a better spot for him, and I feel like it's a better place for him to end up. I've taken Malik Willis as quarterback. I do not think that if Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral if they all played this year, I think Malik Willis would come off the worst. But if you're drafting somebody this high in the first round, it has to be Malik Willis. It has to be him because he's the one with the upside compared to the Corral has the upside. Don't get me wrong, Corral has the upside, but then he's got injury issues to worry about as well. So at least Malik Willis has that over him. He's from Atlanta. He can sit behind Marcus Mariota, who's a consummate professional, same kind of playing style. I think that's a nice fit for Malik Willis.
I like it. I like the pick there. I think it's a little high, but if you're going high, I think it's a better fit than where I got him with the Panthers. But I got Evan Neal going to the Falcons. Let's just shore up this offensive line. Let's get better in the trenches, and we'll figure out our quarterback moving forward.
Yeah, I think the Falcons could just do with taking the best player available as well. But
you know me, though. I'm always a big believer. Build both sides of the big men.
Yeah.
Offensive, defensive line, and then build back from there, unless you never pass up on a sure thing for a quarterback. So if there's a guy sitting there, like revisionist history, Patrick Mahomes, you've got to take him, right? But we don't know that. So I say build that line, and but like you said, any great player would be good for them at this point.
Yeah, just take anybody. Same with taking Kyle Pitts last year. Like, just take best players available if you're Atlanta at the minute. And it just so happens the best player that you have left on your board is also going to help them in a need. So that's really helpful.
Before we move on to the 9th pick, I do want to say the Falcons are a prime position for a Packers trade up if the Packers decide to trade up. Because I don't know what you think, but for me at number 9, I got the Seahawks taking the first wide receiver off the board with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening. I was toying between both sides of the ball, and then I went, Peter Carroll's a defensive coach. The offense is going to be shit anyway because Drew Lock's your quarterback. Let's take Derek Stingley. Number 9, return to the Legion of Boom. I just think that would be a great pick for both sides there. Like, I know you're wanting Derek Stingley. I know you wanted him to fall. It's a real issue. It's a real issue because the guy that I've got going to the Cowboys, I could see going a lot higher than that as well. But I really wanted him to fall, so I made him fall. But Derek Stingley is if he's fit and healthy, he's a sure thing in the NFL. And that when you think of Seattle, you think defense, Legion of Boom, rah, 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 all of that. You don't think let Russ cook, really. So yeah, I just think that makes sense. That's a sensible move for them to do. But also taking a wide receiver and taking Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. I have to say, I think they're going to trade one of their 2 wide receivers before the draft with the day or 2 before. So I think Lockett or Metcalf are out of there too. Another reason I have them picking a wide receiver. Yeah. If that doesn't happen, then I can see him doing more of what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Metcalf might stay.
Right, where I think Lockett might go now.
Lockett might go. Lockett's a nice bargain for Lockett's a potential bargain.
He might go to Green Bay, which scares me.
Yeah, he's a nice bargain. Do you know what is fucked up moves for people like Lockett? The Jacksonville Jaguars taking Christian Kirk for $70 million. Like nobody can afford. Jesus, nobody can afford anything now. Yeah.
So, right. Number 10 with the New York Jets. I think this is where we see a run on receivers, and I got Jamison Williams, wide receiver, to the Jets. I think he'd be a perfect addition, and I think you need to give Zach Wilson some weapons so you know what you have in this kid. And I don't think we can put any stock into what he went through last year.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the only issue I have with that is somebody who's still on our board can also help them out quite a lot, and that's Kyle Hamilton. If Kyle Hamilton was a corner, he'd be gone by now. Like if if Kyle Hamilton was a corner,
I
he'd be gone.
actually think if Stingley's gone, that will be the Vikings pick. But yeah.
Yeah, if Kyle Hamilton if Kyle Hamilton's a corner, he's gone by now. And
He
I
can
just
play
think,
corner too, which is what blows me away. Like if you wanted to move
yeah,
him to corner, he'd be just fine.
yeah, exactly. So if you're the Jets, then I'd take Kyle Hamilton. I know it's not the best thing to use both of your pick. I've got them taking Thibodeau, I've got them taking Hamilton, but they're two players who are just too good to not take in the situation that the Jets are in. And in this draft, how much better are the wide receivers that you're going to take in the top 10 to the wide receivers that when's their next draft pick? That they were early in the second round as well.
Yeah, but dude, this draft, I'm not bullshitting. You will find starting wide receivers in round 5.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like take Kyle Hamilton, take Thibodeau, get your starting wide receiver in the second round. Like that's
I don't disagree with you. I just know
yeah.
how people how the league is and taking safeties high. It's weird. They're
It
so
is weird.
undervalued now.
It is weird, but it just makes it makes a lot of sense for this safety as well. For this safety, it's not like Caleb Farley, who was a person we were both high on and wanting to take. We took him quite high compared to a lot of other people in our drafts last year because we were like, oh, the injuries. Kyle Hamilton doesn't have these injury issues. He's Caleb Farley without the injury issues.
No, I don't disagree with you. That'd be a good pick. With the 11th pick, the Washington, and I will say Commanders because it's not the fans' fault that they're scumbags.
Yep.
But I have been calling them the Washington scumbags with everything going on. I got him taking a dude that I could easily see if he slips past them going to Minnesota, the Texans, anybody. Jermaine Johnson, D end. This kid is ready to go right now. His size is unbelievable. His speed is unbelievable. And I think Minnesota would take him in a heartbeat because Eden Prairie, Minnesota is pretty much Minneapolis, and he'd be a hometown kid. But I think the Washington Commanders beef up their defensive line even more, and they take this kid.
Yeah, and it's a very Commanders pick. I was trying to warrant doing that because obviously with who they have as their coach, they're always going to have Ron Rivera. I was blanking. They're always going to look to beef up that defensive line, like just get dirty in the trenches the entire time. But with Terry McLaurin, the way he's acting, and I don't necessarily think that this guy is the best wide receiver in the draft, but I think he fits the Commanders the best. I'm taking Drake London. Now, he's got his measurables, his physical attributes are something that the Commanders haven't had in a wide receiver for a very, very long time. And he's the kind of guy where if Carson Wentz is doing Carson Wentz shit and throwing 2 cornerbacks, Drake London is so fucking huge.
Oh, yeah.
And just a big... He makes that 50-50 ball a 60-40 ball. That Carson Wentz 50-50 ball that he's going to flow up there to 60-40. So you don't want to take... For their quarterback, you want to take a bigger fucker, you know? And Drake London's the best guy for that job.
I put right on my big board here. 6'5", 209, great on 50-50 balls, great speed, great size, and great skills. Lack of speed and separation is what scares me with him. So it depends on how you want to use him, but I like him, and I still have him in my top 5 receivers in the draft.
Yeah, and it's if you have McLaurin, then you've got the separation guy, you've got the quick feet, fast separation dude. Like, why not go take Drake London, who's just something completely different, and Carson Wentz can do Carson Wentz shit, and he can just pluck it out of the air for you instead.
Yeah, that might be the best thing Carson Wentz needs. So at number
Yeah.
12, with my Minnesota Vikings, they select from DB University, Derek Stingley.
You'd go insane. If that was to happen, that I don't think you could get a better pick than that as a
No, me
Viking.
neither. And if they don't, I say trade back because I don't think that McDuffie's that far off of those top two guys either.
Yeah, who I've got going to you guys. I've taken McDuffie. Now, McDuffie is a little bit of a stretch, maybe in terms of big board, but in terms of actual cornerback rankings, he's not, is he? Like, he is the
No,
third
I
best
think they
cornerback.
would take Hamilton before they would take McDuffie if they stayed. But I'd be
Yeah.
cool with them taking McDuffie too. I told you I don't think he's that far off those top two guys.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got a different kind of cornerback. He's not that guy on the island that you have alone. He's more your slot kind of guy, but it's his tenacity to get to a ball that I really like, and that fight to get there. And I like McDuffie. I like him in the Vikings outfit. I think it works really well for them.
And Maddie, just to play off of this, back to my big board, what I wrote about him is great athlete, great acceleration. His agility is the best in the draft. He tracks the ball well, great instincts, zone system, day one starter, needs work on man to man. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. It fits well. He fits well for just don't go man. Like,
well, he'll get better too. They just didn't play it in college. So, like, he's a guy that's got every ability to do it. They just got to teach him where they want him. But he seems like a smart kid. I think he is super NFL ready right off the bat.
Yeah, and it's like there's not a lot of people who are going to trade. There's not a lot of people who are going to trade up into that slot.
I got the Saints trading up though. If we were doing trades to get Kenny Pickett. But that's if we were doing trades.
Yeah, you just become a little worried about the Eagles taking your Trent McDuffie there, though. Just a little. Like, if you have the guy that fits your need and you really like him and you don't think he's that far off, if you have Derek Stingley, then fuck this noise. Take that guy straight away.
On my big board, I don't have McDuffie going in the top 20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing is, if you have Stingley still there, if you have Hamilton still there, then fuck this noise, take those guys. But there's some PFF did an interesting podcast where they only drafted based on the biggest need, and it kind of showed you how weird that then makes drafts, because then you had like some wide receivers that had obvious first round talents not going in the first round. So you've got to strike that balance. And I think the Vikings taking a cornerback, and Trent McDuffie's the cornerback that I'm able to take there. And you've got Derek Stingley. So yeah, you're good. Right. So, the Houston Texans, what have you got?
I got the first safety coming off the board for me, Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
I think the Texans kill the first round with Equan and Hamilton. I think they walk away with two keystone starters for years, and their rebuild's looking a lot better after their first two picks.
Yeah, best player available. I like that. Best player available for you. I went for a guy that has the potential to just be an absolute destroyer in the NFL. And it's kind of like a guy that a team like Houston needs. And it's what Atlanta needed last year. They needed Kyle Pitts, because you just need that guy who's just a freak in that position. So I've gone for Jordan Davis, defensive lineman from Ohio State.
Nope, not a bad pick at all.
Just because it's like, just if you're in a really shitty situation, then why not just get the guy who could turn out to just be a freak in the draft, and then just take him there, because we haven't seen people this quick who are that heavy before. So let's see what happens if you're the Houston Texans with that kind of pick.
Well, at number 14, I got the Ravens protecting the guy who doesn't want to sign a new contract. I got him taking Trayvon Penning, offensive tackle, and I think that's where after him, I think the offensive tackles start to fall off with a bigger gap.
Yeah, I really like Trayvon Penning at Baltimore as well, because he's a much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. So I really like that Trayvon Penny. I think he's a great fit. A guy that's still on my board is Jermaine Johnson II, and imagine the Ravens taking him after missing out on Zadarius Smith. I mean, if there's a place that edge rushers love to go, it's Baltimore, and that's just like if they see a good edge rusher, they won't be able to help themselves, and that's what they'll do. They'll take him. They'll take him there.
All right. Well, against your East rival, the Eagles, that's where I have Drake London going.
I like that. It's where I've got Jameis Williams going. Alabama connection, Jalen Hurts, Alabama connection, Devontae Smith. They're just reuniting the gang. James Williams, all Alabama offense in Philly. And I don't think they could turn that down. Williams has injury issues. It's the only reason he's not the obvious outright number one wide receiver. But in today's day and age, that ACL injury, that'll be done. He'll be fine. He'll be back to normal.
They just got to get Hurts weapons so you can see what you have.
Yeah, pretty much. Same as the Daniel Jones, same as the Zach Wilson conundrum. I think Drake London's a great fit, though, because then that gives him... Devontae Smith gets so much separation. Maybe Jalen Hurts needs somebody to throw to that doesn't get separation. Maybe that would help. Because he clearly can't throw to the open guy all the time. So just throw to the guy. It's the same with Carson Wentz. It's the same logic. So Drake London makes perfect sense there.
Well, with the Saints, I got another run on wide receivers with Chris Olave going to the Saints. I think that's another team that needs to stack up on weapons. You don't know how Thomas is feeling right now about the team. Kamara is going to cost a lot of money coming up. Now I know he's a running back, but he catches a lot of balls. So you got to figure some things out. And this is a team that went in $70 million over the cap. So you got it hit in the draft right now.
Yeah, nice gadget guy as well, potentially. Chris Olave.
Punt return.
Punt returns, does the whole business. I like that pick. It fits the Saints offense quite well. I've taken Zion Johnson from Boston College. Now, there's a lot of noise about him, and he's not somebody that I've watched a lot of film of, but I've done my due diligence, and I've watched a bit, and I like what I see. And he seems pretty sound from
best
what
guard
I can
in the
see.
draft.
Yeah, and it's just just take. Just if you're the Saints, your offensive line is shit. So just take the best offensive lineman going. You can get an incredible guard there. And that's a good place to pick up a guard as well. People get a bit weird about picking up guards instead of tackles, but pick up a guard.
Well, who do you got going to your sweetheart team, the San Diego Chargers at 17?
Trayvon Penning, offensive tackle. Bookend with Rashawn Slater and solidifies up a run path for them. Austin Eckler could do with that big fucker on the side blocking for him a lot of the way through. I just think that works really, really well for them. It's a completely different type of guy to Slater, because Slater's a bit more of a great pass blocker, and then on the other side you've got your great run blocker, and I think that works really well for them.
Well, I have them going Treylon Burke, wide receiver. I got 3 wide receivers in a row. We're going to give Kean a running mate on the outside. Guy can play inside, outside. I don't care what some of these pundits say. I don't know what film they're watching. The kid can play inside, outside.
Yeah.
I think just the more weapons you give a Justin Herbert, who seems to be legit as hell, I think it makes them a very tough team in a very tough division.
I think when you have a guy like Justin Herbert, you just go, do we protect him or do we give him the Bengals when we've got Joe Burrow, let's give him somebody to throw to and not bother about protecting him. Whereas I think the Chargers are a bit more wary of that, let's say, but they could do with a couple more wide receiving weapons. I think you're right. I think you're right, and I like that pick.
Well, for your Philadelphia Eagles at 18. Oh, wait, who did you take with the Chargers? I just skipped you altogether.
No, Trayvon Penning. Trevor
Okay.
Penning. Sorry, Trevor Penning.
My bad. Okay. Yeah. For your Philadelphia Eagles that you love so much, fly, Eagles, fly. Delvin Lloyd, linebacker. I think he's going to be great for that defense. I think that he kind of fell a little bit to where he would be rated on my big board. I think he's like maybe 5 picks fall into you later. I think it's a great pickup. I think you're going to great talent, and I think it fixes a need.
Yep, I've taken the same. I think linebacker is the reason he fell, isn't it? Like, let's be real. If he was an edge, he'd be.
It's so weird they undervalue linebackers so much now.
Linebacker is honestly one of the most important, but like it is genuinely the spine of the. Like they should be able to do it all. If you have a
Your middle linebacker is usually the quarterback.
If you have a linebacker that can blow shit up, then it completely changes your defense. A la Micah Parsons. Like it completely
we both have great linebackers, so we appreciate them better.
Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner, obviously. Von Miller is an outside linebacker. Linebackers, it's ridiculous that they don't give them as much love as they should. And Lloyd falls because the linebacker, his actual talent is way higher than that. I like him for the Eagles.
Wow, we agreed. How weird is that?
We've got a few.
Yeah, 19 with the Saints. If they're just going to sit and take best player available and they're not going to reach for a quarterback because I don't have them reaching, but I think that may happen. Jordan Davis, D tackle. I think he'll be great for their defense.
Yeah, 100%. And either of that, like anywhere that you take that dude, like basically he's such an anomaly that he just goes to any team because he's different to anything that anybody else has got. Like I would look if the guys that if those Ohio State defensive tackles fall, then the Cowboys could do with one. Like that's and it would fit really well. It's that kind of like they're that kind of player where you can just put them in any team and just say, yeah, just basically you're fucking huge and really quick. Do you see that quarterback there? Kill him. Like that is basically what you're saying him to do. I think they make any team better. I've taken Garrett Wilson, who in terms of that's good value that they're saying to get him for the wide receiver there, Garrett Wilson. Rearming their weapons there with the problems with Thomas as well.
At number 20 right now, after the Saints pick, I have the Steelers exhaling, running up to the board and getting their boy out of Pitt, Kenny Pickett.
I like it. He's like Mitch Trubisky, but comes out in the draft, so we don't know how shit he is yet. That's the like. No, I like Kenny Pickett. I'm bagging on Kenny Pickett a little bit there. You just don't see the upside. Kenny Pickett doesn't excite you, but in good hands with the wide receiver core. Well, in small
the way
hands.
they play football, they don't put it all on the quarterback. Yeah. They got Najee Harris running the ball. They got some good young receivers. I think if they're going to go get a quarterback, this is the quarterback they get, and they get him today right at 20. The most Steelers shit ever. They don't move, and they get their guy.
Yeah, and hometown boy, all of that. It's the ideal move for Pickett if that's where he ends up going. I've got the NFL's version of the Greek, the college football versions of the Greek Freak. I've got George Kalafdis, edge.
Yeah, that name. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to do it. There's another guy with Greek heritage in this. There's another guy with a Greek citizenship in this as well, and I've totally forgotten which one of them it is. So this is the second Greek off the board. I can't remember who the other one is. It's a surprise Greek citizenship. I'll put it in the comments when this video goes up. But Steelers, edge rushers, marriage made in heaven. You've got to kill Joe Burrow if you're going to win that division and just attack them with loads of edge.
Yeah, and we're in the part of the draft now where teams are drafting a lot more for need because they have everybody graded so close together, at the bottom half of the first round. But I think at 21, the Patriots steal a guy who's definitely top 15 talent, maybe even higher on my board, Trent McDuffie.
Yeah, great. Like if he falls there, then they're and that how much of a Patriots cornerback is Trent McDuffie? How much of a Patriots name is Trent McDuffie? Like, doesn't he sound
Oh
like
yeah,
a
that's Irish
Patriots
as
fan?
shit, huh?
He's
Yeah.
either supporting the Patriots or the Eagles. That is who he supports, Trent McDuffie. I refuse to believe anything else. I've got them taking a cornerback as well, trying to replace Jackson and Stephen Gilmore. I've got them taking a guy whose physical attributes are incredible, Andrew Booth Jr. And he's just so long that if you get him in the hands of, like, Chris Sims was talking about his hips not moving as well, but if you put him in the hands of that Patriots team, they'll get him to the point where he can use those physical attributes in the right way.
Yeah, the Patriots do what you should do. Like, there's a lot of coaches who are like, "You're going to fit my system." I think
Yeah.
that's dumb. The
Mhm.
Patriots are a team who are like, "We're going to build a system around what we have and what you do well."
Yeah, and they do like a nice mix as well. Like if they need you to do a certain thing to get into their system, they will coach you to do that thing to
Right.
get into their system as well. And coaching is something that's really misses out in the NFL a lot of the time. I think we get these guys that come in and 3 years they're not the best player on the fucking planet, so let's get rid. Well, hang on, they're only 24 or something. Maybe they just need to mature into that role. Let's coach them up a little bit more. And I think someone like Andrew Booth Jr. going to New England would be a great move for him.
So what do you got going on at 22 with the Green Bay Packers?
I've got them giving up both of their picks to get AJ Brown or Debo Samuel or Terry McLaurin or DK
Can you
Metcalf.
guys stop? There's no way the 49ers are giving
I
Debo
know.
to the Packers.
I know. I know. But for 2 first-round picks is
I don't give a fuck if it's 4.
exactly.
They're not going to want to beat him up in the playoffs with Debo. They're not going to
Yeah.
do it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, they'd have a better chance of getting AJ Brown out of Tennessee or
Or DK.
DK or Tyler Lockett, that kind of thing. But on my board, there's Chris Olave, who they can take there as well. I believe they need a wide receiver so much. I've got them drafting 2 wide receivers, which will never ever happen. But
Well,
they're trading one of those picks. One of those picks is getting traded to do something. They're not picking 2 in this period of the. They'd rather have like some more second rounds, I think.
well, I got him taking quarterback. No, I'm just kidding. I got him taking Dotson wide receiver. I think that I don't know
Yeah.
what wide receiver they have, but he's still my best wide receiver on the board. So I got him going to Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
So with the Arizona Cardinals, I think you protect Kyler Murray some more and you give him Zion Johnson, offensive guard.
Yep, that works really well. The thing with Kyler Murray's protection issues is the problem that is it the offensive line? Is it the offensive line that's the problem for Kyler Murray's protection issues, or is it the fact that how is an offensive line meant to protect you if you're running out of the pocket all the time? It's an interesting discussion, but it can never harm if your quarterback's getting injured all the fucking time. It can never harm like just improving your offensive line by taking the best guard in the draft. With the Cardinals, I don't see a lot of actual holes. Like, you know what, like a quarterback who actually wants to be there is a bit of a hole. But apart
Well,
from
as
that,
of today, he put pictures back up.
yeah,
He's 100ing post about winning a Super Bowl.
yeah,
I think they said, Kyler, we're going to pay the shit out of you. And he's like, cool, we're
yeah.
all good.
And Arizona is a great place to live. Apparently, it's like
Yeah.
LA, but
Yeah.
cheaper. Like,
Hey, I'm going to the desert, right?
yeah.
Same desert, different state. It's literally
Yeah.
the same desert,
It's
different
like,
state,
yeah,
So,
but
yeah.
cheaper.
Well,
Yeah,
and it's a hit or miss because like Phoenix is more expensive, but like Arizona's got cheaper property taxes, but Vegas or Nevada has 0 state tax.
yeah, but it was like Friday Night Lights, Spencer Rattler's lifestyle. That was like, yeah, fucking Arizona looks sick.
Well, go with your Cowboys, bro. What you got going on?
I haven't done my Cardinals pick.
Oh,
I basically was like, they don't seem to have a lot of holes, so I've just gone for Devontae White, who's the other.
I just assumed we picked the same person for some reason.
Sorry, I've already. Zion Johnson had already
Yeah,
gone for me, but yeah, Devontae White. I just think, like, if you don't have a lot of holes, pick the guy who can just blow everything up. He's same reasons as he's basically the same guy as Jordan Davis. He just has less moves.
I'd like
is
that.
just, yeah,
I'd like that pick, and you'll see why when we get further down the board.
yeah. He's a one trick pony, but it's a good one trick to have. For the Cowboys, Tyler Linbarn.
Yeah, me too.
I'm happy
Me
with
too.
that. I'm happy with that. I'm playing him a guard first year to give till we can then draft another guard or work on another guard. But apart from that, because Biadish isn't it, at center, Biadish isn't it, and he's not. And Linbarn just doesn't he just give? Doesn't he just look like how we built our offensive line years ago?
I think
Like
he's
5,
going to
6
stay
years
at
ago.
guard.
And stay at guard the whole time, not
And the
move to
reason
center.
I say that is it's easier to find a good center late than it is to find a good guard. So you draft him, you put him at guard. Now you guys can either get another center later or you can do it next year. I agree with you, though. He goes to guard, and if he plays well, he stays at guard.
Yeah, definitely. But he also makes a fucking cracking center. Who's the center for the Eagles now that we were taking last year? We were chatting him up the entire time.
The only center I can remember from last year for some reason is Dixon.
I think that might be it. Is that it? Yeah, it is. Landon Dixon. Yeah.
Okay.
It was him. Linbarn reminds me of him. He's got the same attributes that we liked for Dixon last year. He's got the same attributes. He's just not injured, so he's going to go in the first round rather than the second. Who have you got the Bills taking?
First running back off the board, Bryce Hall going to the Bills. I think that's their major glaring weakness is that running game. Get yourself a running back, and maybe, as they say in Friday Night Lights, you can get yourself one of these.
I think they're the only team that will take a running back in the first.
I agree.
round. They're the only team that could take a, just like the Steelers were the only team that would last year. Like, you know, that it's the same kind of thing. I haven't got them taking a running back because I just think it's against the trend of the NFL to take a running back in the first round. I'm not sure, but Najee Harris has been a great acquirement for the Steelers, so maybe they will go for it. And Bryce Young is the best. He is the best running back in the class. For me, I've got Nakobe Dean, the linebacker. I just love linebackers, and I just think the Bills are in that position where they can just take an explosive player.
I don't disagree with you on linebackers. I just think they're so devalued that he's not even going to get taken in the first round.
Yeah, it's the same. Basically, we've just picked two things where their position is the reason they're not going to be taken in the first round. And the Bills are in such a good position.
High pot, kettle.
Yeah, it's like the Bills are in such a great position at the minute that they can do that. They can just take a player who's incredible and they don't need to worry about position value.
Well, at 26, with the Tennessee Titans, Kenyon Green, guard, let's protect, let's blow holes for our running game. Let's do some Titans football.
For me, I like that pick. Very Titans. Very Titans. For me, I've got Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce, wide receiver, Cincinnati.
I like it.
Leaves everybody behind. Like when you've got AJ Brown on one side, it's the opposite to what I was doing with London, Drake London. He's so quick, and he got so much separation at Cincinnati. He just wasn't getting found. They just weren't throwing it to him. So that production is really important, but I don't think production for wide receivers is as important as the edge. if you're not getting sacks and you're not getting pressures in college, you're going to really struggle to do it at the NFL. In the same way as at offensive tackle, if you're giving away loads of sacks and you're giving away loads of pressures, you're not going to be able to protect the quarterback at the NFL. Production's important for those positions. Wide receiver, you need a decent quarterback to be able to pick you out. And Alec Pierce has Desmond Ritter, who's fine, like he's okay. Fifth best quarterback in this class, which means we probably wouldn't have even got into the, like maybe just crept into the top 10 in the last one. Like, he was open all the time. Alec Pierce was open all the time and he leaves people behind, and Ritter just didn't find him. And I think he's a perfect fit for the Titans.
I like it. 27 with the Bucks. What do you got going on?
Kenyon Green.
Nice.
Yeah, just imagine just being able to bring a Kenyon Green into that O line. Then you can jump off you can cut some cap space next season if he's the real deal. If you want to, you don't have to be held to ransom by your offensive line at that point.
I have them setting up one of the best young safety groups in the league with Dak Hill going next to Winfield.
Actually, what a great call. I didn't even think safety. Outside of Hamilton because of the devaluation of the position. How bad is that?
But again, where the Bucks are, again, they're a team right now. They need to get younger. They need to get cheaper because the Bills come and do in a year or two. And they got the win right now. They got the luxury of having a stacked team. Where can you see the most value? You know what I mean? And now that Todd Bowles is your head coach as a defensive guy, I don't know. I thought it was a perfect fit.
That works well for me.
So
I like it.
The reason I told you I liked your Devontae Wyatt pick before is because I have him going to Green Bay at 28.
You don't want to play him. He's a guy that you definitely don't want to play. You'll really fuck up your offensive line. That's a great pick for Green Bay. I think they're going to trade one of these picks, so it doesn't. But it's a great pick for Green Bay. I've said their need for wide receivers is so bad that they're picking George Pickens as well as who I've got them. I've got them also taking Chris Olave, and then I've got them taking George Pickens at wide receiver.
Okay. Yeah. But see, it wouldn't shock me if they went with two wide receivers because you got to at this point. You know what I mean? You lost pretty much your starting receiving core from last year.
Yeah. And it also just comes to the point where they might be just trying to save face over the whole Aaron saga. So if Aaron now can't win when they've given him 2 first-round wide receivers, then, it's all Aaron's fault. It's all Aaron's fault. I still believe there's that kind of stuff going on in Green Bay.
I agree. Well, at 29 with the Chiefs' first pick, I got him taking George the Greek Freak, Kalaftis. I'm so bad with names.
Kalaftis?
There you go. I'll go with that. But that's where I got him going. 29 falling to the Chiefs.
Yeah. Isn't it weird, though, to think that they need an edge now, the Chiefs? It makes a lot of sense. With the division that they're in, it makes a lot of sense to go edge. Like, every team in that division's got to think, how the fuck do I get to the quarterback, or how do I keep my quarterback upright? It's either way. Like, that's what you've got to do. I've got them taking Treylon Burks just because they're a wide receiver down. Just take a wide receiver, just add even more weapons. Because the wide receiver room, if you thought at the start of this offseason, you would think, oh, holy shit, wide receivers in need for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, you would think I'm deluded and you would never listen to the podcast ever again. But it is a need for the Kansas City Chiefs now. And Treylon Burks is the best wide receiver that I've got on the board.
Well, at number 30 with the Chiefs, I got them going back-to-back defense with Kyler Gordon, cornerback.
I like that. I like that a lot. He's not in the first round for me. I do have another cornerback going, but it's not him. For Kansas City, I have the beast from Vienna, Berhard Reinmann, the Austrian interior offensive lineman. I've gone very European in my first draft.
Well, there's a shock.
Just a big dude, loves to block, loves the game. Kansas City offensive line still could do with some gelling together. It's a very expensive offensive line now. let's stick somebody in there that can.
And I have to say, my pick was what I think they will do. I have 2 corners rated higher.
Yeah.
He's not even in my top 5. He's my 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still have him going above 2 of them because of the coaching scheme and what I think they would like.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I agree. Cincinnati Bengals. Who have you got?
Tyler Smith, offensive tackle. Let's protect Burrow. You've got to go O-tackle, especially if Tyler Smith's still sitting there. I think you got to grab him.
Yeah, I think they've committed a decent amount of money to it in free agency is my only reason that they wouldn't do that. I still think just take offensive line, take offensive line, take offensive line. But I think they've kind of gone, oh, we've committed loads of money in free agency. Why would we do that with their draft? Who's the person that's getting blamed for them losing the Super Bowl? Eli Apple.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to find a replacement for him. Kia Alam, cornerback.
Yeah, I got him in my top 5. I think he's better than
definitely
Gordon. Yeah. But I think for the defense, the Chiefs would rather have Gordon in Todd Bowles' defense.
Yeah, Kia, I like Kia Alam. Kia Alam and Chidobe Awuzie sounds like a good cornerback pairing to me. Works well.
Well, at number 32, Dan Campbell's knee biters draft their quarterback of the future, Matt Corral, quarterback. He's going to sit a year behind Jared Goff's overpaid ass, and then he'll be able to come in next year when they can walk away from Goff.
That is the perfect pick for Matt Corral right there. Like 32. It's their second pick in the first round, so you're not their big ticket first rounder. Go sit behind Jared Goff. It's the perfect spot to pick these guys, and it's the perfect spot for Corral there, really, because there's no high expectations for him. Jared Goff did perfectly fine last year. Jared Goff had one of the more underrated seasons in the NFL last year, I think. I think he did
overpaid.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. He also had one of the most overpaid. He had, if you compared his paid to rating ratio, it's pretty dire.
I think he's like 7th highest paid right now or something.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just like, so you have Jared Goff, but he did have a good season. And he did play kind of well. The Lions showed definite improvement. But Matt Corral, just some of the balls that he's able to throw, some of the things that he's able to do is Matt Stafford-like.
And you get a 5th-year option, which I like on a quarterback. You want that 5th-year option. So, yeah.
Exactly. So if you take him at 32, if you take your quarterback 5th-year option at 32, instead of taking him at, when do they pick next? Like 34? 34. So you get the 5th-year option on your quarterback. Well, Jacksonville aren't going to take him, so it wouldn't matter which way around they did it, apart from you take the 5th-year option, which you'd rather have on your quarterback,
right?
Especially if you're going to sit your quarterback for a year at least.
And then when you give him an extension, it gives you an extra year to run bonus money over and, cap gymnastics. And, that 5th-year option on a quarterback is a wonderful thing because if he plays well, he's never going to see that money-wise, but he's going to see that on the extension, which gives the team more years to spread his money out, so it can be a win. And if he doesn't pan out, you only spent your second first-round pick, which was a 32, so it was worth taking a shot at him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the reason that you've got that pick is because you traded away Matt Stafford, so you may as well try and replace Matt Stafford with it. You know what I mean? Like, you may as well just give it a go and see what happens.
Then you get rid of Goff, though. You open up so much money. You've drafted pretty well so far. So if you have another good draft and you brought some good free agents in, go overpay for a couple free agents because you're going to have to with being Detroit. Yeah. But next year you'll have the money to go overpay for a couple. And who knows? Maybe you're competing for the NFC North.
It's a much easier rebuild spot as that they're in. If Matt Corral doesn't pan out, but they give him 2 years, well, that 2 years they've freed up so much cap room that even if it's shit, like they're playing shit because their quarterback's not panned out well, which means they're still getting really high draft picks for their rebuild, and they've got nice free agency money to spend, so that when they eventually do find
Well, guys, we lost Maddie, but that's all right because we were at the end. We got through it. He just disappeared before the closing. I guess we didn't want to hear what he had to say. But all right, guys, keep your eyes open. It was running on the bottom of the screen. We now got 6 shows on the Yankee and the Brit YouTube channel. That's Yankee and the Brit YouTube channel. So it's youtube.com/Yankee and the Brit. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.